Right there, getting him in the turn, getting all the cars in the turn.
Don't let him pass you. Don't let him pass you.
Now that was Ronnie Dawes telling Buddy Lazier, don't let him pass.
We go as far as 79.
They get together. Lazier gets the wall, and he gets it hard as he touches with Tony Stewart.
You okay, buddy? Are you okay? Hey, I got lucky on this one. The son of a bitch just ran right into the back of me. He wasn't alongside of me or anything. What was that? I'm a little bit dizzy in the head, but my back is okay. My feet are moving, everything's okay.
Okay, very good. But what did he do? Come up on you?
Well, if I had the corner, he wasn't anywhere near me. He must have just fucking hit me in the back. Was that Stewart?
That, by the way, is not normal for Buddy. He's a very polite young man. But obviously, when you get ricocheted off a wall like that, it certainly brings up the adrenaline and the anger.
Well, it was...
You don't think that Buddy Lazier is a class act? After he was released from the hospital, the first thing he was concerned about, his protocol on the radio as ABC listened. Buddy, you're okay, but you have an apology.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really apologize. I had no idea there was an open mic going on. And it's a very emotional time when you're in a race car. And we had such a good race car going on, so I'd like to apologize to everybody. Didn't know they were listening in, but I don't want to apologize to the person that made contact with me. We had a great race car. We really weren't in a battle with that car. We were there for the end, and I think we had a great run this time. I think we had a good shot at it.
It obviously has some understeer. I didn't notice that on the in-car. We'll watch it as it goes down into the corner. You can see this paw-looking thing in the left front. We got a yellow, Paul. We got a yellow.
Had trouble on the front straightaway, and it's in fact Stewart. Stewart's engine let go.
Unbelievable.
Well,
leading the race, no warning, gone.
And look at the anger in the cockpit. Stewart, fortunately, able to drive it to a stop without causing trouble for anybody. No one got against the wall, including Stewart.
It looked like that steering wheel must have been a little slippery the way it slipped out of his hands, Paul.
Well, Tony Stewart was furious. He threw the steering wheel, still connected to the two-way radio, out of the front of the car, flings down his gloves in anger. Remember, they had concerns about these engines going to qualifying. They had engine trouble. They finally made a decision to back out of their qualifying engines and use one that was detuned a little bit. But in doing that, they said that they were assuring that the race would run well for Team Menard. Now, one half of the team is gone. Tony Stewart waves to his fans.
Sort of an unusual place to pull the thing to a stop.
Nah, I wouldn't even run the car hard. I mean, if I was pushing it, I can understand it maybe, but just out there kind of riding around, trying to take it easy.
The emotions right now for Tony Stewart. Describe them.
Well, I mean, this is the only thing I've ever wanted to do in my life. This has been my #1 goal, and every year I get shit on doing it. So, I mean, how would you feel?
Paul?
And the start of a confrontation between Kenny Irwin in the Haviline car and Tony Stewart in the Home Depot-sponsored machine. Contact between the two of them. Wound went Kenny Irwin. This is the onboard view from Kenny Irwin's machine. And that was the start of a series of confrontations. This was a little bit later on in the race, coming down the inside, getting past Tony Stewart, and then a little nudge from Stewart in the number 20 car. Saw Kenny Irwin spinning once again. 2 spins. Let's take another look at that. Down comes Irwin down the inside, a brave maneuver to get past. Just a slight contact from Tony Stewart, and round went Kenny Irwin. Well, they both survived that one. But it wasn't going to be forever, because Irwin got his revenge a little bit later in the race, lap 147, and this time Tony Stewart backed heavily into the wall. Well, perhaps Irwin on board with him now. Take a look at this, giving a little nudge to Tony Stewart, perhaps getting his revenge for the earlier spins. These two used to race against each other in sprint cars. Tony Stewart said afterwards it was much the same in those days as well, but he was not very impressed, and as you can see, Tony Stewart here was out of his car, throwing his gloves at Kenny Irwin, and in fact picked up an official reprimand from the NASCAR organization.
Going in the corner right there, he just gets a touch. Right, ooh, and the back end gets off the gas. Was that Tony Stewart that he made contact with, Robbie? And through the grass.
Boy, those roof flaps really did their job then, because that car wanted to take off.
It sure did, and Robbie Gordon, I don't believe, hit anything.
Just a long and very scary slide. You can see the damage there on the left side of the left rear of the car where he was tapped, triggering the incident.
When you sign up for YouTube Premium, you can watch videos ad-free. Download them to watch offline and keep them playing even while you multitask in other apps or when your screen is locked. Sign up for YouTube Premium and get all your videos ad-free and offline. Try YouTube Premium for 1 month on us and get into what you're into.
He was tapped, triggering the incident. You can see that Robbie Gordon is having a what appears to be a heated conversation with Tony Stewart. There's whoa!
Hey, knock it off! You're fucking out of here. Take off. Hey, enough! Enough!
Robbie, you didn't bring your team. I mean, you went over to talk to Tony, but he went to the wrong spot. You don't have your guys.
Emotions are high, of course, because everything is so important. It's important to practice well. It's important to do well in the twin 125s tomorrow and get yourself a good spot in the Daytona 500. Here's the replay once again.
Left-hand side of the screen, the front car is Robbie Gordon. The second car is Tony Stewart. And right there, they make contact. You know, was Robbie Gordon trying to block Tony Stewart? Was Tony Stewart trying to go someplace that he doesn't? We can't tell from that angle. Only those two guys know.
Down to Bill Weber.
And Robbie Gordon has returned to his garage and talking it over with his crew. There is a lot on the line here, certainly for Tony Stewart, a potential run at the Winston Cup Championship, and for Robbie Gordon, a return to this series. What happened out there, Robbie, as you saw?
Well, Bill, I'm going to tell you my point of view. I'm sure Tony's will be a little different. One thing...
We'll go ahead and let the 16 car of Kevin LePage back out here because it's right next to us. That way we can all hear. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
We just, you know, we were playing draft and practice out there, and I went around Tony on the outside. Thought I was clear coming down the back straight. Turned me around, you know, but... He says, oh, I ran him down the grass. I know I didn't have him even down to the dotted line yet. So, you know, we just... One thing about it, when the cars get side by side, they catch back up, and I'm just getting a little used to it. Got a lot to learn still.
Obviously, you went over there to discuss his view of it.
Well, I mean, I was like, hey, you know, why you hit me? It's only practice. I mean, you can tap the brake a little bit or whatever. And he says, oh, you pushed me in the grass. And I know he wasn't in the grass yet, but it's okay. No big deal. You know, I guess he got a little heated. He pushed me, so then I grabbed him. So you know how it goes from there.
There's a lot on the line here, isn't there, Robbie? This means a lot to every one of these drivers in this garage.
The Daytona 500 is a very, very important race, and we're all, you know, working really hard to get in the show. And I'm sure tempers are starting to flare a little bit, you know, getting into the last few minutes of practice before the 125. So unfortunate what happened to our car. Sorry what happened with Tony. Guess that's what we call racing.
Good luck.
Thanks.
You're getting a lot of people coming over to tell you what they saw. Tell us what happened, Tony.
Well, I mean, everybody's out there drafting today. There's no points paid today. There's no money paid today. It doesn't determine any starting positions today. And, you know, Robbie got to run off a 2 on me, and I'm down on the inside by myself. And, you know, the way this draft works, it's kind of like watching geese fly in the air. It's in a V, and I was ahead, and he got the draft and pulled ahead, so I tucked up next to him. And about the time I tucked up next to him, he's clear on the right side to start with, and he drives all the way down. And he didn't just turn all the way down, but he just eases it all the way down to the grass, down the backstretch. Eventually, I've got nowhere to go, and I stop turning. I got to go straight again, and he just keeps coming. He clips the right front, and he spins, and then he comes down here complaining to us. But it's like you say, there's been everybody and their brother come down here, and none of them had a good thing to say about the guy yet. So, you know, Gary Nelson was just down here. He saw the whole thing, said I did nothing wrong. So the only thing that's done, it's cost us our practice session for something in practice that didn't make any sense, and there was no reason for. So my guys are here working hard trying to get the Home Depot Pontiac ready to go back out.
Let's take a look at this incident between Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon.
Well, see, Tony Stewart got sideways trying to enter turn 3, and he had to go up the racetrack to save the race car. When he did, Jeff Gordon was right there, and we saw Tony run into Gordon, and Gordon trying to give Tony room. Went over and hit the curb on the right side. Now, I don't know if he hit the wall or not.
He's busting my about taking it easy at the beginning. Hey, buddy, make up your mind, all right? Speed up, you won't have that problem. Hey! Him and I.
Go on your truck, pull off.
Him and I. Yeah, why? Because I couldn't help it, Jeff. You think I did it on purpose? What you want to do? You know what? If you're going to do it, then I'm going to do it. Well, I'll slam you straight in the wall the next time you're anywhere near me. First one you in the wall, you better get your then what'd you do? What'd you just do? Just do to me. I owe you one now, buddy.
Gordon turns around Tony Stewart. Here they come to the flag. Sadler wins it. Andretti is second. And Gordon crosses the line third after contact, turns Tony Stewart around.
I think that's going to be a battle for turn four, for fourth position.
Stewart around.
I think that's going to be a battle for turn four, for fourth position.
Those two guys will probably be meeting each other down there very shortly. Here he goes. Matter of fact, Tony is going up through there. Here goes Tony looking for Mr. Gordon.
Here's a look at the spin and the contact.
Well, he gets a run on him. He just gets down underneath him just ever so slightly. Tony comes down. No place for Gordon to go. Ever so slightly. Tony comes down. No place for Gordon to go. And here's Tony over here on the front straightaway. And watch this.
And on pit road, Stewart expresses his displeasure with Jeff Gordon.
And if when he gets down here and gets this thing wound up, he might have some more things to say.
We have heard they have reserved seats in the front of that red NASCAR truck.
What happened between you and Tony Stewart at the end?
Well, I've been working on him for a long time. Come off at 2, had a great run, and he got sideways, and I got underneath him, and he just turned down on me. You know, I did everything I could to keep from hitting him because I don't want to, you know, take a guy on the last lap. But hey, I got the position. We're battling all the way to the end. This is Bristol, and I'm going to do everything I can for the position. And I don't see anything wrong with what I did. You know, I thought that it was pretty clean. But I just want to say thanks to everybody with DuPont and Pepsi, Quaker State, GMAC, Chevrolet. You know, this was a great effort for us today.
How about the retaliation? How about Tony coming back at you? Is that okay?
That doesn't surprise me one bit.
Okay, Mike.
Well, it's nice when you can laugh about it afterwards, but that's two drivers fighting for one spot on the last lap.
Yeah, it is, and I know Jeff wouldn't have done that, but yeah, I see he's having trouble. He can't even get it. He's having trouble in the pits. I think he might have a brake problem. That's what I think. I tell you, Jeff said he wasn't surprised. I'm surprised he didn't hit him harder. That's what I was surprised in.
Well, if you're looking for Jeff Gordon or Tony Stewart, this is where you'll find them. Both of them are right up in the front of the truck. Let's go to the studio and Chris.
Back on the 97 for a second at Kurt Busch. That's not good feedback when you tell the crew chief there's something wrong. Oh, yikes.
That's not good.
Oh, they're spinning behind him and getting a chain reaction. Caution is out as Robbie Gordon 31 spins around.
It was just a matter of time before Tony loses his cool. These pit stops are getting to him, and
he's losing it right now. And this is where your spotter comes in and say, look, you got a good race car, 200 laps, calm down.
You had a good race car. You may have just wounded him.
Here's how it started.
See, the 32 gets loose. You got to get out of the gas. Here comes Tony. I don't know why he'd be mad at the 22 car. I think he's just mad. I don't think he's mad at anybody. I think he's just mad.
Well, Tony Stewart and Scott Wimmer, we're told, are going to be black flagged. Look at the official in front of Tony Stewart's car. He has his right hand on his head, signaling that there is an infraction by the driver. He has one finger in the air with his left hand, indicating a one-lap penalty, and the same is going on in the 22 pit for Scott Wimmer. Now that's Frank Stoddard talking it over with Greg Zipadelli, the crew chiefs on the two cars, explaining what happened in the incident. And let's show you what happened after the caution flag came out.
It's one of those situations where you say, man, what are you doing that to me for? I didn't do anything.
Well, Wimmer turns in front of Tony. Tony turns down into Wimmer. And I guess that's how you discuss things under caution, Darrell?
Yeah, it's just, you know, you hit me once, I'll hit you twice.
Contact. Tony Stewart and the two of Rusty Wallace. Rusty comes up, looks low, but Tony was there.
That's quite a bit of damage to the corner, the right front corner of that 20 car. Let's see here, this is the 20 coming off. That's Rusty on now. Oh, Rusty got into the outside retaining wall.
And that was a pretty hard lick to that outside wall.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a different incident than the one we saw before.
Man.
working real hard and try to get the thing back in shape, get it out, try to get some points. But I had a really good car today. If it wasn't for about the first 5 or 6 laps where Stewart and I got together and he got me the fence over there and bent the lower ball joint in, then the car went to not handling right. So then we struggled around with it. We still had a pretty good car after that. You know, they were reading off the times. It was an easy top 10 car, but not to be today because of the wreck. But the Stewart guy, man, I'll tell you, I don't know what's going on there. He's coming out of back straight with his finger out the window and just give me the bird all the way down the straightaway after he run me through the fence. So I like to take that finger and jam it right up his rear end, I'll tell you that, because he's messing with the wrong guy with that mouth right now. I'm not in the mood for him right now.
Tony, are people making too much about the on-track stuff, or there may be some hidden frustrations over the fact you haven't won yet this year?
There's no hidden frustrations. I think the people that are blowing it out of proportion are, Mike Joy and Larry McReynolds and Darrell Waltrip in the booth. Nobody else has been complaining about it. Rusty and I talked when we saw each other, 2 days ago at the airport, and we were just kind of laughing about it and shook hands and went on. And, our fans at Sedalia, Missouri, and Knoxville, Iowa, that came out to watch us run the sprint car, they stood out in the rain for a half hour in the rain to get autographs. So it's funny. I keep watching the replays of the race after I get home and listening to Darrell and Mike Joy and McReynolds. It's like you keep watching the screen waiting on Tattoo to come by in his little white tuxedo welcoming everybody to Fantasy Island.
Maddie, ask Tony. Tell him this is a reality show. And, we just talk about what I told him this the other night when I was talking to him. We just talk about what we see. And the one thing we see is a common denominator of him involved with a lot of other folks. So, we're not picking on him. We're just telling what we see.
DW says, Tony, that he's not picking on you. He just is seeing what the video shows.
Yeah, I know. Darrell's memory kind of gets a little screwed up sometimes. I guess he forgets that with all the rule changes he wants NASCAR to make, he forgets that if they changed the rules and took the Champions Provisional away, he wouldn't have been able to race the last 2 years. So I know Darrell's doing what he has to do at his job, but I think there's a lot of times what you see on the screen isn't the whole total story, and I think they've done a real good job in the booth of blowing things way out of proportion like they normally do. I guess that's probably what they need for ratings, which I think our sport's doing a pretty good job of ratings without having to butcher up.
Just as we come back to Chicagoland, that's the race leader, Casey Kane. He took fuel only on the restart, and he's got company in the big pile.
Junior, the 8 car has crashed.
Dave Blaney, John Andretti was involved. 4 tires, no tires, 2 tires.
Yes, Jeff Burton, the 99 car.
You think somebody spun their tires on a restart?
No, because Tony Stewart jumped up on the outside of Sterling Marlin and passed him on the restart, which was legal, but he might have made contact with the 9 car.
Scott Riggs with damage. He was having a good run. Casey Kane took fuel only on his pit stop, got out front with the lead. His teammate Jeremy Mayfield and Sterling Marlin only took right side tires. Tony Stewart was the first one with 4 tires. He got an incredible jump on the restart to the outside. You see Blaney waiting for help.
I'm interested to see what happened myself, Wally.
Wow.
BP, there's a big fight in the 20 pit. Tommy Baldwin, a number of the Dodge guys came down to talk to the 20 crew members. NASCAR officials do have Tommy Baldwin. They are trying to break this up. Huge altercation down here in the 20 pit, guys.
Man.
Here's my point on this deal, guys. When some guys take tires, some guys don't take tires. If you don't have new tires, you can't go into turn 1 as hard as the guy that's got new tires. So Casey Kane went into the corner, but he couldn't charge the corner like Tony Stewart, who had the new tires.
There we see Tommy Baldwin, the crew chief on the right, the light-haired fellow, the dark-haired fellow, Jim Pullman, the car chief.
And it may not be over yet.
No, it doesn't look like it.
That's the problem. You have the different tire deal.
That was a great comeback by Robbie Gordon, though. I mean, he did a good job.
I don't think Tony Stewart and Brian Vickers are happy with each other.
Yeah, that's probably from the little interlude deal. These guys are wound up, but not much you can do about it after the race.
Tony's... Man, doesn't get
And look at this, up across the track. And a lot of guys with some heads-up driving.
A lot of cars missed this wreck.
Oh, my goodness. He was on the
on camera on the big screens around the racetrack and said, move the camera. Now we're going to leave pit road.
And NASCAR Race Control a moment ago told both these drivers, Matt Kenseth in the 17 and Tony Stewart in the 20, to settle down.
Well, you know, Kenseth should be hot. He's got a race car that's probably not capable of winning the Daytona 500 now because of that.
Black flag 17. Matt Kenseth will have to come to pit road.
And they're going to throw the green flag.
This is them coming off of pit road after they had been warned to settle down.
When you leave pit road, you can't go above the yellow line.
Loses the back end, slaps it pretty hard. Pretty darn hard.
Just ran out of racetrack.
Yep.
Then at the other end of the speedway, turn 1.
You know, Matt was already a little loose getting down in. It looked like he was really almost sideways before Tony ever got in there and got on him. Have to look at that again. Have these two guys had a little, didn't they start the year off this way?
At Daytona.
See those three cars back there stopping. They didn't know where these two were going to go. You just watched that replay. What did it look like?
I didn't see the beginning of it. You know, I knew Tony had a run, and you know, I just, you know, at the start-finish line, he was still behind me, so I just pulled down against the grass because I was going to obviously protect the bottom. And, you know, if he got inside me, I don't know how he did. He must have run over the grass to get there. And once they said he was inside, I moved up, but he just tapped me in the left rear, and then he proceeded to take a right and run me up the fence. So, you know, if he was under there, I didn't know he was under there. I don't know how he got there when I was against the grass.
Two really good cars wrecked in the garage. Tony, you've seen a replay. You were there. What happened?
Well, it's pretty funny. That's the first time I've actually got to sit in the truck and watch the other guy in the interview, but it's a pretty demented view from where I saw. I mean, I got to run on him like he said. At least he got that part right, but you know, you can see where they start the camera view that he's a whole lane and a half low, and you know, you don't go in the corner that way, so obviously he's blocking there. And, you know, if he wants to complain about me getting under there, I mean, I was there, and you know, any other weekend that would be acceptable, but you know, it's the next All-Star Crash Fest, so you know, I think he screwed up on this one and thinks that if he thinks I did that and that was my fault, he screwed up in the head.
Let's watch it. I don't know if Kurt got into the back of Tony or not. Let's wait till we get around here and see. Tony's car Tony hit the apron. He got down on the apron. He got a little bit loose. Kurt was all over the back of him, and there he goes.
Tony's dropped the window net on his car. That's a signal to safety workers that he is okay. Watch the yellow line.
Yeah, watch the left front tire. He gets it on the apron just a little bit. You see the car wiggle, and he gets loose. He's got to probably lift out of the throttle a tad, and here comes Kurt. Cannot get off of him. They make contact.
And then once Tony gets sideways, nowhere for Kurt Busch and the two to go.
What a shame.
You're doing 185 miles an hour, Darrell. The car in front of you suddenly loses several miles an hour of momentum. Was there anything Kurt Busch could do to avoid Stewart?
No, you could see he was trying to get down. He was trying to get underneath Tony to get away from him. It wasn't possible. He did everything he could do.
We had a good run on the 20 car, bumped into him a little bit, and we both got taken out of the Daytona 500 off of my mistake. So I hate it for my guys. They work real hard at putting together good cars, and our sponsor Miller Lite and everybody that's involved with the team. We're real poised for a good run towards the end here, and we just got bottled up, a bunch of guys sliding around, and I made the first mistake. So I apologize to the 20 car. I know it doesn't help any. He's been a great friend at all these restrictor plate races. So we'll dig out of this, and we'll be back next week in California.
Get 50% off all Domino's online pizza orders at menu price this week only, which includes right now.
So we'll dig out of this, and we'll be back next week in California.
I was just in the center of the corner, and all of a sudden it took off on me. So you know, I haven't seen it, so I don't know what happened. But pretty impressive to go to the back and get all the way back up to the front like that. I was really happy. That Home Depot Monte Carlo was awesome today. I mean, we you know, we fought back. We kind of were in a bad position that one pit stop where we had Robbie Gordon coming in, you know, toward the tail of the field. We were ready to go, and I stalled it trying to get out ahead of him, and then him and the 38 get together, and they're wrecked, and then just got us to the back, and then I just wasn't paying attention to my pit lane speed, and it was my fault and got us behind. So just got us to the back, but I was proud of, you know, I thought it would be a little quicker than it was getting to the front, but
it took a lot longer than I anticipated. The cars are just so tight back there and so hard to drive back there if you're in bad air. But just proud of these guys. I mean, they never got worked up. I never got worked up. We drove the way back in front.
Tony, you're out of the 500, but you're able to smile. Is that going to be a testament to the confidence you have in your season?
Oh, I'm excited. I mean, these guys have done such a good job all week. I mean, our Chevy was fast. I mean, every time we were on the track, it's been fast. So, you know, it just wasn't meant to be today. So, just real proud of everybody at Home Depot, all 350,000 associates that were rooting for us today. We'll come back next year and get one.
It's just a shame. I mean, they had a really, really nice facility here, and you know, Chris Powell and their staff really destroyed a really nice racetrack because they were afraid we were all getting strung out. And I guess they're smarter than we are, and smarter than NASCAR is as a sanctioning body, and think that if they redo the racetrack that it's going to change things. But I don't know that Chris Powell has an engineering degree or anything like that in how to build racetracks. So I don't know. It's just frustrating. I mean, you come here and test, you know, and we were running really fast, and you come back and, you know, Goodyear brings a tire that they've changed on us. So, you know, it takes the 2 days that you spend out here plus the travel time and all the money that you spend to come out and test for these races. It takes all that and throws it out the window. And you know, if you look at how many cars crashed yesterday, not only in the Busch Series but the Cup Series too, it's an indication this track isn't very much fun right now to be on.
Tony, thanks for the thoughts. Tony Stewart. By the way, Chris Powell, he's referencing to is the track general manager here at Las Vegas. A four-car jam session that we've been watching for a lap or two has ended up with Kurt Busch in the wall in the number 2. He was racing with Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle, and younger brother Kyle.
That was predictable. I mean, these guys were not cutting each other any slack, and they'd been doing it for a number of laps, and it was going to happen sooner or later.
This was coming off turn 4.
Now, Tony had already passed Kurt a couple of times, and he passed him back, and this time he just didn't. Kurt tried to come up in front of Tony, and he said, we're not having any part of that.
Yeah, there was not a lot of give and take right there.
Not at all.
Denny Hamlin in the midst of that as well. Isn't this about the third time, at least the third time this year, that those two cars, beginning at the Daytona 500, have crashed together?
Here they are racing each other pretty hard, and you see Biff run in there and bump the back of Kurt. Now Kurt gets a run underneath Tony Stewart here, and he thinks he's probably got him cleared, or at least he needs some room up. Ain't gonna happen.
As they're looking at the damage to Stewart's car, Kurt comes up to offer his opinion.
And guess what they got in the 2 car? Parked
for the day.
Meet me at the Oval office.
You know, pit road was just me stopping there to make a point, and